Welcome. So, this is the Jacob Southwood Life podcast, or the life of Jacob and Joe, just life in general.
Yeah,
So,
Jacob.
yeah.
Soundstripe.
So, what you been up to? You been at work or?
Yeah, I've been at work today.
Yeah.
Down in the retail industry. Yeah, Donnell. Yeah, good fun.
Oh,
Yourself?
no. Yeah, no. Not today, luckily. No, I've just been, it's been the holidays recently, so I've just sort of come out of that thing where they just make you work so much in the holidays, and then you just sort of come out of it, and you've just got a few days spare. You know what I mean? Just.
Jake, I'm not gonna lie, this has already turned into the most boring podcast ever. We're
I
just saying
mean, I know.
our work and our jobs. Let's talk about something interesting.
Okay,
for a
fine. Interesting.
Let's talk about
Okay,
interesting.
okay, right.
So
What is interesting?
what are your thoughts
Hmm.
on the cost of living crisis? You've been making a documentary about it. I want to know.
Well,
I want to know. I want to know everything about your documentary. I want to know how you're making it and how you're finding making your first documentary camera.
it's not a documentary. It's just like a series of interviews. Um, I think I sent them to you, didn't I? Have you seen some of them? Or
Yeah, I've seen some of them. But
um,
like, tell us like what you think. You know how you found it. Interviewing people, I think, out in public must be quite a
oh man, it was like no, it was so
It's quite scary. It's
nerve-wracking.
quite scary because you never know who you're going to interview
Well,
and you
yeah.
never know what their reception is going to be and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. My heart was racing at the time, and I was just like, I felt like I was going to throw up during it. You know what I mean? Just, ugh, it wasn't. Like now, I'm more confident at it now, but like when I first started doing it, because I've never done it before, I was literally just shake. You get that sort of shaking sensation where you're that nervous. I don't know if you get that.
Mm.
Um, it might have been epilepsy. It might have just been natural nerves. I don't know. But to me, when I get really nervous, I shake, and I was doing that during it. But afterwards, I felt more confident. Like the more I did, the more confident I got, basically.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was all right. No,
that's good. You
yeah.
with your interviews, I because the one of the ones you sent me, you were in a park and you were talking to the camera, right?
Yeah.
Who was it? Were you filming that or was it on site?
Um, no, I think that was actually one of my classmates that was holding it.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. Was that the one in Chichester? It was near the cathedral, wasn't it? It was in
Mm.
that. Yeah, that was where it was. It was like it's like a 5-minute walk from the college, and then you've got the cathedral, and the park was really nice, and it was a really sunny day. So I was just like,
What did you find that most people's like opinions on the cost of living crisis was? Do you think it was like majority of the people?
most people are angry at like they were quite adamant about it before, and originally before I was going to interview them, they were like, I don't want to get too annoyed. Am I allowed to swear? And I was like, yeah, sure, you can swear if that's all right, but just not too much, because they were like, that's how annoyed they are at it. You know what I mean? Like with how I think it was like Liz Truss and people like that, like how they handled it and stuff. Because I know they have such strong opinions. And I was just like, oh god, please don't get too angry or annoyed. So yeah, it was quite interesting, like to see what they had to say though.
Oh, cool.
Did you do like any interviews and stuff like for your film course at all? Or?
Yeah, I've done interviews, but it was for a documentary where we would have the person we want to interview, and we'd have to say, "Oh, sorry, can you just stand there for 5 minutes while we set the camera up and set the lighting up, and get them to sit down." And myself or the director would be right behind the camera, so the camera would be here, and you'd be talking to the person. And so it was like they were talking to the camera in a way, but not exactly into the camera. And we'd ask them questions about. We did a documentary in a taxidermy museum in Brighton,
Okay.
and we'd ask them questions about like the history of the place, what they do when they work there, and stuff. And most people like seemed genuinely interesting, and you know, you can tell there's a big passion about it and stuff. But I think it was very different because the interviews you do are just on the spot. You know,
Yeah.
you don't really have like a set person that you have to cater for and you know, sit down and make sure the shot looks great and everything. You get on the spot, which I think is much more difficult. I reckon so.
Yeah, man. It's like how nervous were you as well, like going into it?
I was all right because I think if I remember correctly, I wasn't the one asking the questions. I was behind the camera, um, but you can definitely tell the people probably more nervous that you're interviewing because there's like 3 people, 4 people, you know, behind the camera, behind the boom mic, just like watching
Yeah,
them. And
I think
and
something
if
I
you got,
did pick up on. Um, so if you come across as nervous, then the person you're interviewing will pick up on that, and it will rub off on them apparently. In a
oh
way.
really?
Yeah. So like you need to come across as like confident and sort of presentable in a certain manner, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, this person seems pretty chill. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're all sort of like fidgety and like you know sort of jumpy, then they'll just respond the same way, kind of thing. It's almost like
Yeah,
a meerkat. It's almost like a meerkat situation. You know how like meerkats like sort of react to each other and stuff. Like it's kind of similar to that. Like you know what I mean? It's all about emotion.
yeah. No, I understand what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think yeah, being confident. I don't think anyone's really like super confident. You know, going into most things,
yeah,
you just kind of wing it and pretend like you know what you're doing. And you know, I don't think I've ever gone into anything and been like, I'm really, really confident. You know, I just kind of just wing it. I don't know if you're the same. I just wing it, and then if something goes wrong, it goes wrong. You know, I just go, okay, it's what it is, I suppose. But
Sounds correct.
it's all about.
do you think you do well under pressure?
Um, I'd say I've gotten better at it over time. It depends on the situation. If it was like in a work environment, like you know, uh, like doing a college assignment or something, then I would just,
Yeah.
I would put myself out there and be like, hey, this is going wrong. I need to do this, this, and this to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not one to leave it to the last minute. You know, if your college teacher's listening to this, I can vouch for Jacob. He's not one to leave things to the last minute, and he's very thorough with his work. I remember that from school. He was a bookworm. He was a nerd. Like he
I
really
was,
put 100% effort into
oh,
everything.
what was that nickname I had? It was, I don't know if knew the nickname was Noodles, because I used to
No,
have my hair. I used to have my hair over one eye like that.
I don't remember.
Remember? Do you not remember
No,
that? No.
no. I remember. I used to call you Turnip.
Oh
Turnip
yeah,
College.
that was in primary
And
school though. That wasn't in secondary school.
yeah, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where that came from. I do
Yes.
remember that at Shaun of the Dead. Oh no, Shaun of the Dead situation. Do you remember?
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I don't remember that one, Jacob.
no,
Sorry.
no.
No, I
Oh,
don't really have any
Shaun of the
embarrassing.
Dead is coming out on PS2.
You must have some embarrassing stories from school that you
Uh,
can share with this podcast, Jacob.
I mean, I've got quite a few. Um, let me
I'll tell you,
think.
what is your most embarrassing story from when you were in secondary school? I won't count primary school because I think kids that age are gonna, you know, they
Well,
do.
that was only natural in primary school, isn't it?
In primary school, you're a lot younger, so you can get away
Yeah.
with it. But in secondary school or college,
Um,
so maybe been to college twice.
hmm.
What is the most embarrassing moment?
Ooh, I'd say I don't know. That's a really tough one because like there was that time when we went to prom. Do you know they handed out awards and stuff at the end, and they gave us that
Yeah,
They gave us. It wasn't even a award. It was like a plastic fake thing with your name printed on it that they probably got for like £1. You know what I mean? And the awards for like Heart of Gold or basic stuff, and everyone in the year voted for it. And they were like, "Worst haircut award goes to Jacob Southwood," and I had to stand up in front of 200 plus people, and I was just like, "Why is this happening? Like, why is this an award?" You know what I mean? Like, I do think that was. It's only because it happened in front of everyone that's why it was so embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, if it was just in a small group of people, fair enough.
Yeah.
But because it was like the entire year.
Yeah, embarrassing yourself in a big crowd is.
It wasn't even me embarrassing myself though. Like that was
No,
what everyone else
put in
felt.
that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was embarrassing. I do have to say, like, because my hair's quite nice now. Just saying.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
quite proud of it.
It's quite long. You probably
I
need
mean,
to get a cut.
I will eventually.
I could
But
hair on my head, to be honest.
yeah, I can understand why they voted for it though, because it did used to be over one eye. I don't know why I
Yeah.
did that. I can
I
never.
remember,
Yeah.
I remember when you got a haircut.
Well, yeah, that was
I
when.
think I swear you only got one haircut in secondary school.
Yeah, and that was the fine. That I think that was what led to people voting for the worst haircut award because he cut my hair. Someone, it was a guy from our year. He cut my hair, and then that's what led to people voting it to being the worst.
Do you know how much haircuts are now?
£15 for me.
Yeah. I used to pay £8
Mhm.
in the one that was near my house 5 years ago, and that did everything. I didn't really do anything crazy anyway. I just get a short back and sides, pretty much. £8, and now I get the same haircut it's a different barbers, but it's a very similar price range. But they've upped it to like 14 quid.
Really?
Yeah.
And is it customary to tip like hairdressers? Like, do you ever tip?
I never tip hairdressers. No,
my grandparents always do because I go with them sometimes because and they're just like, you've got to give them a tip, and they give them like a £2 tip, and I'm just like, but it's already like 15 quid.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't want to sound like an asshole when I say this, but like, I don't like to tip like kind of anything. Like, so like hairdressers don't want a restaurant. I don't give tips out. When it's like I usually tip the waiter, they're just carrying my food over for me. They're not cooking it. I'd rather tip the chef.
Yeah.
I'd rather tip the chef. I don't want to. It sounds like I don't want to sound like an asshole.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, like tipping culture in this country, I kind of view it as
a bonus.
I will pay for the food and that's it. I'm not going to give you a tip for carrying it over for me. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, 5 years.
You'll be 32, which is even crazier.
Please don't remind me. That is just.
You don't look 32.
I'm so I don't.
Literally looks like you're 17.
I know. It's because I can't grow any. Like this is all I've got. But yeah, that is a tough one. I want to say like there's so many things you can do with like a journalism degree. That's the thing. Like you can literally go into so many different fields. You could go into like writing. You could even get into like a marketing position. You know what I mean? So ideally working for like a possible radio studio or like a game studio would be cool. You know, like those you got Creative Assembly. They're like all the way in. I think they're in Horsham, I believe. You got EA in Guildford.
So you'd be a games journalist.
Something along those lines. I'm interested in, yeah, or something to do with you know how I'm a history buff as well. So you know, like anything to do with like history documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
I think that sounds really cool. But I think you should pursue being like a David Attenborough type.
Really, like.
Or a Louis Theroux type, yeah.
Louis Theroux, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, I would have to put myself into like situations that I would just be like.
Yeah, that'd be great. And, like I've known you for like 10 years, 15 years now.
Yeah.
Kind of, and like I think you could do like Vice documentaries, but if it's you, it would be kind of like funny, like unintentionally funny, but also like kind of serious at the same time. Yeah.
Right. So it says we've got a minute and 25, but I guess we can
Yeah.
you know, putting
You
into
want
it
to plug
there.
some advertisements in there? Any sponsors?
Advertisements, not that I can think of. Could sponsor Lego. If Lego want to give me anything, I've got a few sets that I want to get. Apart from that, nah, that has been life stories and catching up on life. So thank you for coming on, man.
No worries.
All right, I'll catch you later.
Goodbye.
Laters.